Dan. Oh, don't mind me, ladies and gentlemen, but your mission, should you choose to accept it today, is to watch the only review for Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. I'm sorry, Miss Bliss, but our mission will have to continue much later on. And yes, last night at the IMAX, I watched this film, the 8th in the series of movies that began all the way back in 1996. I've seen all of the Mission Impossible films on the big screen. The last few since Ghost Protocol on the IMAX in Waterloo. I'm going to talk about that experience. It's absolutely fantastic. But if you enjoyed what you see here today, make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you recommend on social media. And without further ado, I know what you're thinking. I'm probably wearing, or I was going to be wearing, the Juliet from Mission Impossible 2 underneath these glasses, but no such luck, because those glasses are absolutely ridiculously expensive.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Approved by 1970s Robert Redford.
Tom Cruise, Mr. Cool, Mr. Suave, Mr. Sophisticated, back for the 8th time as IMF agent Ethan Hunt. The man is in his 60s. He's battered, he's bruised, he's world weary. Since 1996, this man has gone on an epic journey that has seen him spawn continents of the world. Running here, running there, running everywhere. The man is absolutely out of his mind. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about here is the so-called 3-hour running time of this movie. This movie clocks in below 3 hours, because when I was at the IMAX last night, they ran 20 minutes of epic, mostly epic film trailers. I will talk about those at the end of this video, but oh my god, if anybody thinks cinema is dying, there is the BFI IMAX in Waterloo, the biggest IMAX cinema in the UK, don't you know? So I was absolutely excited to return there in the space of what, 2 years maybe? And this is footage that I caught last night while I was around there, and it was absolutely brought back memories. Memory bliss, folks, sealed with a kiss. Saw Ghost Protocol here back in the day, and that was an incredible experience. In fact, I would say as well that even though that film wasn't shot in 3D and they used IMAX cameras, the whole experience was absolutely fantastic. So it's yes, it's going to be a very bittersweet moment where I say goodbye to Tom in this movie, but I really hope he comes back with Days of Thunder as Cole Trickle. Can't wait for that. If you haven't seen the previous Mission Impossible films, you probably should, because this film does call back on those for very good reason. Why is it called The Final Reckoning? Because it's a significant title. It means closure. It means going forward, leaving a legacy behind. It's really moving, actually, at times. And one thing that I did like about this film, that the actors who all congregate are just bouncing off each other. Hayley Atwell looks fantastic, although I will say she's not as badass as we thought she was going to be. She ends up being more of the brains behind the third act of the film.
Great, Ethan.
Now, for the longest time, I've actually said that Ilsa Faust, played by the lovely Rebecca Ferguson, I'm going to be talking about her in my next video after this, was a long fan favorite. But I gotta say, Pom Klementieff, she really does seal the deal in this film. She won't get her own action spin-off movie. She's not that big a star to warrant that, but oh my god, she's an absolute MVP. And if you remember the very first Mission Impossible, the guy at CIA Langley headquarters who had to keep making repeated visits to the toilets and back to his station desk, he pops up here and he is absolutely memorable. Again, I would put him and Pom Klementieff together as the MVPs of this final outing for Mission Impossible. The plot of the film, if you saw the last one, which is Dead Reckoning, about the evil entity AI that's going to take over the world, Now look, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I do think this film is a foreshadow of what's going to happen to the world after you and I have gone 6 feet under. But if there are any aliens who might come across my video, may want to resurrect my corpse, well, go ahead and do so, Mass Effect style, because then I can tell you what went on in the world before it all went to shit. And it's now on paper, this one might seem like the most ridiculous plot ever, but I've got to say the biggest strength of this movie is that it takes the unbelievable and makes it very believable. And I think that's a commendable task you give to Tom Cruise, the other actors and actresses around him, Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote this screenplay along with another dude, and it just comes together. Now, if you're expecting a big, massive Tom Cruise stunt fest, you kind of get that, but not as much as the previous films. But when he goes to town, he goes around. It's just fantastic. And I've got to say, the story made sense. The way you get from plot A to plot B is well executed. There's a plethora of actors in here that I've seen in TV shows like Boardwalk Empire, even Ozark, because Janet McTeer is reunited but doesn't act with Esai Morales as the baddie of the piece. Time flew by with this movie. Is it the end of an era? Well, for Mission Impossible it is. Glenn Powell, I think, will be the guy that takes over, but he's got to prove to the cinema-going audience he's a man worth paying top dollar for, to watch him as the new Ethan Hunt, or whichever IMF agent gets called from the roster sheet. But I will say as well, some secrets are revealed, some things that you don't see coming are suddenly there in front of your face, and it's like, oh my god, how could that ever be? And certain faces that you trusted before, by the end of this film you don't anymore, and you're thinking, oh my god, you guys were douchebags all this time, really? So it's one of those things that comes to mind. Now I will say that Esai Morales is a very good baddie in this film. People have criticized not him as much, but so the villain of the piece, but it completely makes sense why he behaves that way. And as with all baddies in the Mission Impossible films, they all meet grisly deaths. In his case, it's the funniest death I've seen on screen. In fact, it was so funny that even the guys either side of me in the P row of the IMAX cinema were also cackling with laughter at my reaction, because it's something you didn't expect, and it's genius how they worked it out. I don't even know if Mr. Morales was actually flying the plane for real. I don't know if he's a qualified pilot, but the shots where he's in the cockpit look very realistic to me. So I don't know. And there is an underwater sequence that would make James Avatar Cameron green with envy. I mean, I don't know how much of the depth they filmed in terms of making it look really massive and intimidating. It looked like they were going deep, deep, deep undercover. It's incredible. Again, when you think about the stunts that Tom Cruise puts himself through, on paper they sound ridiculous, but somehow the story, the plot, the way the acting, that all comes together helps to make those stunts make sense. It's such a weird thing. And I don't think you're going to get the likes of Tom Cruise ever again. I mean, it's probably an overstated statement at this point, but it's true. I mean, Tom Cruise, for 80% of my cinema going experience, has been pretty much that in my life. Since 1988, with Born on the 4th of July, I've seen almost all of his films on their original release date at the cinema, except for The Last Samurai. I don't know why I never saw that. And the All-American movie by Doug Liman, I forgot what it's called. I didn't get to see that. I don't know what happened. Maybe I just had a bit of an off day with Tom Cruise and didn't go to see those films. But as the BFI are actually re-releasing those films, I'm going to go and watch them actually. But yeah, I mean, The Firm, Interview with the Vampire. To Tom, if you ever watch this video, my man, I mean, God, thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart. I've got to give you Jerry Maguire. Yeah, man, because you really sealed the deal with this one. He absolutely did. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, folks, the trailers they ran before the main feature of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, which, by the way, gets two introductions. One of Tom on top of the IMAX roof, and then followed up by another one where he thanks the audience for watching his film because he made it for you folks. But yeah, the trailers they ran were fantastic. The two standouts, and they actually showed the Superman trailer, and what I thought was very funny, when it came to the kaiju scene, they showed about 2 seconds of it, then suddenly cut it out. And then they showed Tron Ares, which, oh my God, on the IMAX. That film is made for IMAX. It's filmed in IMAX. Looks incredible. I'm going to get my Tron Legacy experience all over again. I can't wait. Then we have Brad Pitt in Joseph Kosinski's F1, which looks amazing. I cannot wait to watch that. That's coming out on June the 27th of this year. So I'm definitely parking my place near the starting grid for that one. I cannot wait. But folks, did you get a chance to watch Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning? Did you think it was overrated? Was it a bit yeah? Were you a bit dissatisfied? Is it going to equal Fallout with Henry Cavill? I don't think so, but just seeing Angela Bassett as the Kamala Harris president was pretty funny. And I got to say, she was just a president. She wasn't even echoing Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or anybody else. She was just a neutral president, but you kind of know which side of the fence she or her character might lean towards. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this rather raucous and rather hyper review of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, make sure you leave a like below. Make sure you smash that subscribe button like this. And if I were you, and if you were me, you should definitely return for the next video.
Like and subscribe, or get your nuts Krogan crushed on Kung Fu Hot Dog.